Okay, good day everyone. So what am I doing today? I'm back on the trainer, midweek session, and I am increasing my lactate threshold. So basically we all have a limit we can go to when we're crunching away on the pedals, and your legs build up a heap of lactic acid in them, and eventually you stop, you can't keep going, or you've got to slow down and recover, and that is your lactic threshold, or your LT. So the way you can increase this is by doing some trainer sessions, which is the same ones you see in the video now that I'm doing, and they're called overs and unders. So what you do is you go to slightly under your lactic threshold and then slightly over it. I use my power meter for this, and then I use my FTP. So my FTP at the minute is 268. So I ride, when I'm on the indoor trainer here, I'm riding at slightly under that. So 240 to 250 watts is what I'm targeting at. And I do that for 2 minutes, and then I will do a 30-second burst at around 320 to 330 watts. And what that does is it keeps your training zone up in that higher effort level, up close to your LT. And it helps you then, if you continue doing these sorts of sessions, it helps you then to slowly nudge up that lactic threshold. So the bad news is we obviously all have a threshold that we get to where we can only keep going in that zone for so long, but the good news is you can increase it by doing these sorts of exercises on your indoor trainer. I prefer doing it on the indoor trainer simply because the environment is exactly the same, and nothing changes. So you can do your efforts the same each time, or slowly increase them, and they're always the same. You don't have to worry about wind, you don't have to worry about drafting, bad weather, cars hitting you, anything. You can just concentrate on doing this. It is hard, all right? If you're doing this properly, you do feel it. You will feel your legs because you are in that zone. You're just under that zone where the lactic acid is starting to build up. You're getting into that area when you're just slightly under it, and then obviously you're into the zone where the lactic acid is starting to build, to slow you down when you're over it. And that's the idea. If you keep doing it, it will just slowly nudge it up because it gets your body used to being able to ride at a higher LT. So eventually what will happen is you'll be able to keep that effort up for longer, pushing out more watts. The other good thing it will do for you by practicing this is it will help you to recover, putting out higher watts. So when you come back into the pack, for instance, if you're doing your turn up the front and then you come back down to the back, if you're still having to put out 220 watts, you'll be able to start recovering at those higher watts rather than having to drop your watts down to say 150 or 160 to get your recovery back. So it is important to do this sort of training if you want to get stronger and faster on the bike. It helps me hands down. When I'm out on the bike and I'm doing some efforts up the front, I can now hold my efforts for a lot longer before I start to feel that lactic acid building up in my legs. I can keep going and going and going, and then once you know your zones, you can just keep it slightly under there, and that way you won't blow up if you want to maintain an effort for, say, a time trial or something. So it definitely works. You do have to keep at them though. You can do these. I've started doing these for about the last couple of months, where I do efforts. You've probably seen some of my other YouTube videos where I'm on the indoor trainer and I do this, where I do sessions where I'm at a higher wattage, then I bring it back down to a recovery, and it definitely works. If you continue doing it, it will slowly push that LT level up, allowing you to hold those watts for longer before you blow up. You know, help you in all sorts of ways, from running a pace line, to climbing hills, for everything. So it's well and truly worth doing this sort of workout now and again on the indoor trainer. You can do it out on the field, you can go out and do rides doing it, but again, for me, I just prefer to do it on the indoor trainer. There are all sorts of different sets you can do with this as well. You can, I mean, I do these 2 minutes at the 240, 250, and then the 30 seconds at the 320, 330. Sometimes I'll do a minute at that 320, 330. I'll do that for 10 minutes, then I'll have a 5-minute recovery at about 180, 190 watts, and then I'll repeat it again. You can repeat it 3 times if you like, but I find twice is enough for me, and it slowly gets your system used to working at that higher intensity without the build-up of that lactic acid. So give it a go, see what happens, and I'll bet you within about 4 weeks, if you stick at it, you will see a massive improvement when you're out on the bike. Anyway, that is it from me. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions or comments, post them down below.